Hello, this video was originally written, edited, and recorded in August of 2024 and posted on another channel I made before this one. But I wanted to touch up and re-edit a lot of it to fit the standards of this channel specifically. So there's some changes and re-edits here and there that will pop up. Keep that in mind when you actually watch the video. I hope you enjoy. Now we all know the stupid little fat orange cat, right? He's literally been everywhere, on shirts, on posters, and especially movies. There's a lot of Garfield content for those willing to consume it. We got the regular comic strip, 2 TV shows, and 2 feature-length movies, with another one coming out soon, starring the greatest actor of our generation, Chris Pratt. We also got a lot of TV specials, some of which I've never even seen before. Essentially, I grew up with this cat, whether it be through either TV show or reading the comics online from time to time. I consider myself to be a Garfield fan. I just think the little guy's kind of funny. So with the new movie coming out, I kind of wanted to pre-game with a little experiment. Can I watch all the Garfield specials before the movie comes out? Of course, if you're seeing this, it means I actually went through with it and did it. So I guess there's that. So there are 18 Garfield movies, and even though I've only seen a few of them, I wanted to ask these questions. Are they even good? What sort of continuity do they have? Which ones are canon? And most importantly, how much Garfield lore are in these movies? So, the Garfield movies are separated into 2 separate categories, the classic and the modern iterations. And I'm going to rank all of them just based on how good I think they are, so strap in, and let's jump into the first ever appearance of the character in Here Comes Garfield. The special opens with a song, something we'll have to get used to for these early ones. Here Comes Garfield's animation is rough to start out with. The voice work is nice from all the actors, but dang, you could really tell that they were still trying to figure these out. Garfield pushing Odie off the table instead of kicking him is a big one. But the story is essentially Garfield and Odie get kicked out of the house and get sent to the pound, where they have to fight their way out. It's kind of a cute story, but in the grand scheme of Garfield stuff, it just feels kind of off. But that's just it. Garfield and Odie are strangely close in this. They have each other's backs and it's cool to see, but it doesn't necessarily fit into these characters if we look at the later versions of them. But I guess we'll get there. In terms of Garfield lore, I guess we could say that Garfield lives with John and Odie. We get John treating Garfield like a human, which is a little strange, but other than that, just not a lot to say. 6 out of 10, it's the only one on the list so far. For Garfield on the Town, the animation's still a bit rough, but better in a lot of ways. Garfield finds himself out on the streets where he runs into his mother. These earlier specials and some of the later ones focus on Garfield just getting lost and trying to find his way home. For this one, I think the angle works. Rough animation is still charming and the big city vibe makes Garfield feel really small. Not to mention the story's also just really sweet. It's honestly not super funny, but the story is captivating enough, so I don't want to say much else except that it's just really nice. For lore, we have Garfield's family, his mom, his cousin Sly, brother Raoul, who is stoned out of his mind, and his grandfather. They're in some sort of gang war or something, I don't even know, it's really strange, but the way the special does things is really solid. I like it a lot, even though I still have problems with it. 8 out of 10. I'm gonna rate it above the first one. I swear these get really good at some point, but dang, this one's not good at all. The camping episode is something I'm pretty sure we've all seen before in an episode of the actual show, in a lot of other shows as well. I'm not even big on the camping episodes, I just think it's a lazy excuse for them to put the characters in a new environment and have the funny haha camping related things happen. Overall, it's just fine, and I don't even want to give it the time of day considering the previous statement, so I'm just gonna move on. Bottom of the list. It's actually a pretty solid Halloween special, and it's the first film to introduce Binky the Clown, who's always pretty fun. The animation is now at the same level as a TV show, it's your basic Halloween special, and it even reminds me of Scooby-Doo at times with the music. It's fun, the animation on these skeletons is super fun, and it's overall just really creative. I think they took what you thought of Garfield's Halloween and just injected some Scooby-Doo DNA. And I think they made something really cool. They even have a point where they poke fun at some Christmas specials with a line about Halloween spirit. It's pretty funny. It's not amazing, but it's at least really funny. It'll probably be something I'll watch every year around Halloween time. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. I'll put it under Garfield on the Town. I will be 100% real. I don't care for this one at all. It's another typical vacation special where Garfield goes to some island. This thing is only 20 minutes long. Why is it so boring? Not to mention the icing on the cake that it's racist. This is a point in time where Garfield was trying so hard to be edgy. And I remember watching the TV show as a kid and Garfield would say something like,
People People who sing like that should be drug out into the street and shot.
Which is a crazy thing to say, even if it makes its appearance here as well. And while I think that line provides some funny shock humor, the racism just doesn't. Because it's not like Family Guy where they're trying to be funny, they're just blatantly racist. The plot is something that has to do with islanders and a volcano, whatever. John and Garfield find love and they want to stay there, but then they leave, whatever, who cares? It's hard to give some of these any recognition because of the fact that they are racist, so I'm putting Garfield in Paradise, you guessed it, at the bottom of the list. Now this is a step up. Because there are so many of these, a lot of the stories are either trying to be insanely big in scope or just really small. And I think the simplicity of Garfield lies in this special. It's nothing amazing or even very good, but I enjoyed it. Garfield goes to Hollywood to essentially win $1,000 on a game show. That's it, that's the whole plot. Again, it's nothing super groundbreaking, but I think that's okay. Sometimes simplicity is good, and I wish they went further with some of the characters and jokes here. But I think it's pretty solid. It's hard with stuff like this because there's just not a lot to talk about, other than the fact that I just enjoyed it. It's basically exactly how it sounds. If you're into it, give it a shot. Otherwise, it's a 7 out of 10, and I'm putting it above Here Comes Garfield. Have we really peaked this early? A Garfield Christmas is, in my opinion, a masterpiece. Not necessarily because of nostalgia for me, but because it's genuinely one of the greatest Christmas specials I have ever seen. The basic plot is essentially that John goes to visit family for Christmas. Funny Christmas-related situations happen out of it. It doesn't sound amazing, but I mean, I love this thing. It's consistently funny, and while not every joke lands, at least we get the greatest character in Garfield history. Grandma. I'm serious, she's just so energetic and brings any scene she's in up. But it couldn't be peak if it was just funny, right? Well, you're correct, because it's also very sweet. There's a scene near the back half that gets me every time with her character. It's just a great special, and even if it were just funny, it would still be near the top. But they made it something truly great that I watch every single year. Top of the list, this thing is amazing. This is the most ambitious the series has ever gotten. Garfield essentially takes you through each one of his 9 lives, and it may sound boring, but each one has a different animation style and tone, and I mean, the special opens with this.
I feel like creating cat today.
How could you not love it? It's awesome. I'll be real though, some of these stories aren't the best. The Stunt Cat one is insanely short, but I will give it this. We got the most beautiful piece of Garfield media from this. Now let me introduce you to this segment called Diana's Piano. This is a beautiful story about just growing up. I really don't want to say anything else because if you want to watch anything from this video, please check this out. It's genuinely so good. Other than that, the other segments range from either good to boring. This is definitely the standout, and I'd say it averages out pretty well in its favor. But it has something the others don't, and that's the heart with that one segment. It's longer than the other ones, so it has room to grow. Otherwise, it's alright, but it definitely has its moments. 7 out of 10, I'm putting it right under Halloween and above Hollywood. Remember when I said that some of these feel like just episodes of this TV show? Well, this literally feels like an episode of Garfield and Friends. Feline Fantasies feels like an experiment. Some sick, twisted experiment to see how much they can blur the line between the show and the specials. I'll admit that it did feel a little bigger than an actual episode, but it still could have been an episode of the TV show, because that show played a lot with Garfield's imagination already. It's not even that I'm upset, just kind of let down. The special focuses on Garfield as he and Odie go through adventures in their imaginations. That's really it. None of them are very memorable. See, these specials to me are supposed to be the highlights, the best of Garfield. But unfortunately, these last few have just been so rough and so mediocre that I'm just starting to lose faith, and I'm putting it above in the rough. I genuinely have no idea how, but with Garfield, Babes, and Bullets, weird name, I know, they managed to make something so unique for this universe. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about the highlights of Garfield in these specials. This is something incredible. Babes and Bullets takes on the role of an old detective show in pure black and white, except it's satirical and somehow this entire society just runs on coffee. I couldn't help but get sucked into the mystery here. I think it's genuinely really good. A little weird in places, but hey, at least they're taking risks. This thing commits to its style and in my opinion nails it down really well. There's not a dull moment in here. It doesn't have the same highs as a Christmas special, but it's just really consistent. It's up there for sure, and I hope they keep this up. They don't keep it up. Shockingly, they fumble on the damn Thanksgiving special, which could have been so good. The other holiday specials are great, but What happened? We get a little bit of Grandma, her final appearance in these things, but instead of more Grandma, we get John harassing Liz, which is awesome. It's just so sad about what this could have been. I wish it was something like the Christmas special, but instead we got more desperate John. I feel like the writers have a hard time writing John, so they just make him desperate for any attention, and he just comes off as so annoying. It's a fine special, sure, but I think I put it best in my Letterboxd review. By the way, follow me over there. Not even the greatest Garfield character of all can save this for me with their short screen presence. It's a 5 out of 10, putting it in the middle of In the Rough and Feline Fantasies. I think we're starting to see a trend. I'm not 100% sure if they knew that this would be the last 2D animated Garfield special, but it's a very anticlimactic ending. John, again, being super desperate, goes to a school to get good at communicating. He meets a girl there and they hit it off and start dating. Garfield feels neglected and gets angry because of this. It's then revealed that the woman is allergic to cats and makes John choose to either be with her or the cat. Why is she even making him choose? It's kind of a stupid thing to get caught up on. I mean, I guess the payoff is super sweet, but at the end you feel like it went nowhere. It feels a little directionless, if I'm honest, and for the last Garfield special, I'm pretty sad. Not because it was terrible, far from it, but because of how anticlimactic and unceremonious it all felt. I'm going to have to give this a 6 out of 10, and I'm putting it in the middle of Thanksgiving and In the Rough. So that concludes the classic era of Garfield. It's not a bad era. Lorenzo Music's amazing voice work as Garfield will continue to live in my head. And the animation, while limited, felt alive and colorful. There were definitely some lows, but also really high highs. I think this era is often overlooked in some places, some for the better, some for the worse, but I love parts of this era for completely different reasons. The people behind it took risks, and for some it worked, and for others it definitely didn't. But we're in for something new with the modern era. Let's take a look at the first iteration with the 2004 feature film. Wow. What a mess. Garfield 2004 is one of the most unfunny movies I have ever seen in my entire life. When I first watched this, I was told by a friend that it was going to be great and I shouldn't worry about liking it. But I was kind of let down. And it's not even that it was bad, it's just like painfully mediocre. This movie is thought of as Bill Murray's biggest regret. We should all know the story of how Bill took on the project because he thought one of the Coen brothers was writing it, but he got the spelling mixed up. It kind of begs the question, why would one of the Coen brothers write a Garfield movie? I guess I'm not really qualified to answer that, but looking at this movie as a sign of the modern era of this character, it's safe to say that things aren't looking great. The plot is essentially Garfield's living a good life until John gets Odie. Haven't seen that one before. But some weird CEO guy wants Odie for his new TV show and kidnaps him, and it's up to Garfield to save his new friend. Yeah, it's pretty nonsensical. Garfield is the only CGI character in this entire movie, so you put him next to any other animal and it just looks really weird. Oh yeah, and of course every animal in this movie talks except for Odie, which I get was kind of part of the original series, but it just feels kind of weird, especially with the CGI characters. It's not the most clever this series has ever been, but it's at least sort of tolerable. It was at this point where I realized that if things go very right, this could be a great turning point for the series. Or it could fade away and nobody will remember it, putting it above Paradise and below In the Rough, 4 out of 10. They did not turn it around. I actually remember watching this one as a kid without seeing the first one, and I remember enjoying it, but I don't remember why. I actually really like the setting of this one. The giant estate in England is beautiful to look at, until you realize that it's the same place they filmed Brideshead Revisited at. Seriously, if you go to their website, you see Brideshead Revisited, a beloved British TV show based on a classic novel. And you scroll down and see Garfield, the Tale of Two Kitties. It's hilarious. But besides that fact, what is the plot? Honestly, I have no idea. It's basically just the Prince and the Pauper, but Garfield and another cat, and they get switched up. Who cares? I don't know. You spend the movie watching these two cats doing separate things. They cut in between them as they switch places, but they don't meet until about 3/4 of the way through the movie. And I can't help but ask why. There's some usual bad special effects, some weird animal acting, but other than that, it's just about what you expect. There's not much more to say about it. I'm gonna put it just above the first, only for the location. Those sweeping shots of the entire estate are actually really good. And I guess that concludes the first leg of the modern era. These two movies are hated for a lot of good reasons. They're just painfully unfunny. But I guess they're good to watch with friends, I'm sure. I didn't do that. For the next part, we have a big risk taken by the creators. Let's see if it works. This is not a good start. Garfield Gets Real was a movie that I watched a decent amount as a kid, thought it was good, and enjoyed it. It is not good, and I don't enjoy it anymore. The movie is this weird meta take on Garfield with the whole comic strip plot. I think the world surrounding this is actually pretty cool. I just wish they explored how the world works, because we really just don't get much in this movie. The reason for that is Garfield and Odie go to the real world. It's like the poster. My main complaint is that the real world is just boring and nothing happens in it. That might have been the point, but it's still animated fairly similar to the comic world. The only difference is that the characters have this weird border around the models. That's it. Also, read this article. It's essentially about a fan comic where they use the F word and a bunch of other swear words, and that somehow made it into the final movie in a poster, and it's really funny. I mean, you have other Garfield media mixing up the animation styles, trying new things, and this is the best you can do? The only thing that's remotely decent is the new voice of Garfield, Frank Welker, even if you can tell that this is his first time voicing the character. Other than that, none of the new characters are interesting. They're all bland and boring, and it's genuinely one of the worst pieces of Garfield media I've ever seen so far. Bottom of the list, 3 out of 10. So, can they pick this up? We have 2 more of these in this weird sort of little trilogy. I guess let's see if it works. Out of all these new ones, this was the one I watched the most as a kid. Does that mean it's good? No. I really just don't have much to say on this one. It's insanely boring. They got rid of the borders around the characters. Other than that, I mean, it's harmless. They kind of shove the message down your throat, but it's a fine time. Not offensive in the slightest, just slow and boring. Also, spoilers if you care, but I forgot that Normal was the villain until I remembered that fact because I recognized his voice actor doing the voice of the villain. It's a fine twist. I don't really care. I'm putting it below the 2004 movie though, 4 out of 10. Oh my. How did they manage to get worse? This is the last weird CGI trilogy thing, and it's the most insane pile of crap I have ever seen. I remember parts of this as a kid, but nothing could have prepared me for what the hell this thing is. It's got something to do with superheroes. All the superheroes are just buff versions of the Garfield characters, except for Normal. I'm not sure exactly what they were smoking to make this happen, but it's genuinely one of the worst things I have ever seen. It's not just boring, it's annoying and painful to watch. I can't believe how terrible this thing is. I just don't have words to describe how I feel. But if you're planning to do this whole marathon at some point, please skip this one, just for your sanity. It definitely goes at the bottom. 2 out of 10, I can't believe this thing exists. I'm emotionally exhausted right now, tired from all the Garfield media, and it's just starting to flood my mind, but we got one more. The climax of this video, the biggest Garfield movie ever. I'm so close. Just one more movie. After the atrocity that was Pet Force, this couldn't be bad, right? I mean, it's gotta go up, right? Well, I mean, I had to find out. So I drove to the theater and headed in to buy a ticket. Was I nervous? Skeptical? Of course. I was finally gonna put an end to this project. Was my research and study going to pay off? I wasn't sure, but I worked hard to get here. I watched a lot of Garfield, and I wasn't gonna let anything stand in my way. I was going to see. This is the most mid-movie of all time. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. This was the most mid-movie of all time for a Garfield fan. I don't think it's bad, and in my research with these other films, I can say that there were moments that I understood better. I mean, Lorenzo's music store, the date on the side of the dumpster, all that was cool little nods. But as a movie, it was just fine. It's so anticlimactic because we've had such high highs and such low lows that I can't help but feel awful. I mean, I started this project back in April. I thought this movie would be really bad, or at least something I could talk about, but I just don't have anything to say. I mean, the animation's pretty. The voice acting on everyone except for Chris Pratt is good. But otherwise, I mean, the movie's just fun. It's fine. Nothing blew me away, nothing pissed me off. I mean, it's not racist, which is a huge step up, but I just don't have the words to describe something so mediocre. In terms of lore stuff, I think it's just going in a completely different direction. It's not really doing anything huge or taking a bunch of risks. It's just fine. If I had to rate it, I guess I'd put it in front of Feline Fantasies and behind Here Comes Garfield. And I guess that's a list. I mean, I think it's pretty solid. I just wish it wasn't so anticlimactic. Garfield as a series was kind of built on making fun of lazy people. Garfield as a character kind of being the center of these jokes. The big thing being that he's an asshole, but at least the jokes are self-deprecating and funny. But as a series of specials and movies, they're fine. As I said, a lot of ups and downs, but overall, a super fun series to revisit. I have my gripes with it, but deep down I have a soft spot for anything this little funny cat does. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.